Hi, it's Joe Mazumdar of Exploration Insights at the January 2023 edition of the Metals Investment Forum right here in Vancouver. And with me right now, I've got the president and CEO of Orogen Royalties.
Hey, Joe.
Paddy Nicol. Paddy,
nice
how's it going?
Thank you.
So Exploration Insights has owned editions, versions of this company for an extended period of time. Before it was Evrim Resources.
Yes.
Paddy was the CEO, and then they had a major combination with a prospect generator in Nevada called Renaissance Gold.
Correct.
And out of that, I think for me as a shareholder came two things. One, a really important royalty on the Silicon project, which we'll talk about,
Sure.
but also, I guess, the infrastructure of creating more of these Silicon royalties, like Silicon royalties within Nevada.
Correct.
That goes over the top of what you already had with Evrim in Mexico.
That's right.
From what I understand. Okay, so maybe we can go through right now, what's interesting about this royalty generator company that we're talking about right now is that currently through one of the royalties in Mexico, Ermitano, which feeds the Santa Elena plant of First Majestic, is that you're basically cash flowing enough to cover your costs of generating more high value royalties.
That's right. That's right. Based on the business model that we've got a prospect generation business that is actually self-funding. All the joint ventures, the earn-in agreements, and project sales that we do, the cash payments that we get, the share payments that we get, all feed into that prospect generation business. So the royalties that are created are actually on a net zero basis for us right now. With respect to the remaining part of the company, the G&A, the business development, that is more than covered. The royalty that we receive off the Ermitano royalty actually more than covers that. So sort of the first time in sort of the company's history, we're earning more than we're burning. So our treasure is actually growing now.
Which is rare for a company of your size.
Yeah.
But what's interesting as well to me is that, the transition in the Ermitano 2% NSR royalty on the gold and silver from this project is that over the last year, First Majestic has moved a significant portion of the feed that's going into the Santa Elena plant from Santa Elena into Ermitano because of the grade and the margin. And so that's only good news for you.
Yeah, exactly. When the mine first started back at the end of 2021, there was sort of a half and half feed between the existing Santa Elena mine and the Ermitano mine. The difference between the two deposits is that the grade at Ermitano is significantly larger, and even more so than we originally thought. So when the mine first got going, average grade was about 4 grams. Last quarter Q3 report, anyways, we saw 6.6 grams, but average around 5 grams per ton. So it's providing significant value for First Majestic, and obviously for us with our royalty. The mine that sits at Santa Elena, it was starting towards the end of its mine life now. And so for 2023, the guidance we've received from First Majestic is that they're switching full time to Ermitano. So we're going to see an increase of about 2,000 tons a day, or total to 2,000 tons a day, which will obviously have a knock-on effect for our royalty revenue, which for 2023, we expect to be around the $4.7 million range.
So in terms of Ermitano, is this constrained? Does this have a limited mine life, or is there more upside there that could potentially go into this plant?
So with respect to the Ermitano royalty AOI, there's actually close to 170 square kilometers of ground where we have our royalty influence. So there's significant opportunity to find additional resources. Within the mine complex itself, there was a new zone called Luna that was discovered in 2022 or midway through 2022. At the time, obviously, it wasn't included in the inferred resources. The disclosure that we see from First Majestic now shows that the inferred resource, the halo, captures the Luna area, but they haven't reported the new resources on it. So First Majestic typically puts out disclosure on that in March of each year, so we expect to see an increased amount of resources based on the addition of
with the resource reserve statement that's coming out.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but also you've got other ground that First Majestic has access to, and you've got a royalty on, which is Kumubabe next door.
Yeah.
Are they doing much work on that?
At this time, I don't think they are. They have drilled it in the past, and they have had some decent intercepts. I just think given the benefit they're getting off of Ermitano. Ermitano is only 4 kilometers from the actual mill.
Plant, yeah.
Kumubabe is about 15 kilometers
so it would
away.
Be a standalone thing.
Exactly. And so I think that over time they will, but right now First Majestic has 47,000 meters of drilling planned within the Ermitano area to discover additional resources, but also to convert inferred resources into reserve category.
Okay, so let's switch and talk about the asset that was acquired through the acquisition of Renaissance, which was basically, let's say, the flagship for Renaissance was the Silicon
That's right.
royalty, the 1% NSR.
Yeah.
And I guess what stands out to me is the jurisdiction, Nevada, great. A partner there, or the asset owner is the company that will put it into development.
That's right.
Which is very important, and they're super keen on getting it into production. So how is that Silicon royalty, come into the fold with Orogen?
So just a quick step back. You're absolutely right. It's a tier 1 jurisdiction. It's a tier 1 operator. This is a royalty that is the forefront of its mine life, and it has the scale potential to be significant, to be quite large. And so we don't have a ton of geological information today. There's been no drill holes released. We believe that the narrative on the development story will start to take over from the lack of any geological information that was ever there. But the way that that AngloGold story, with the way that they've approached is that they're talking about sort of a 300,000 ounce annual production on the Silicon camp proper. They're talking sort of 25 to 30 year mine life. They're talking about
just that prospect that's called Silicon.
Yes, that's correct.
Right.
And
because
then
there's Merlin,
there's
Maverick, and then there's
and so actually those factor into that mine life too. But we also have a royalty on that
On the
AOI.
entire,
Yes, our AOI is 79 square kilometers in that camp, so those would factor into that as well. This is a tier 1 cost profile, so it's a heap leach operation. It's sub $1,000 an ounce production, and so all these factors that start to come into play gives you a sense of the scope and scale beyond just the claim where our AOI sits. There is a group of claims that were once held by previous operators, Corvus Gold, Core Mining. Those have been purchased by Anglo for $600 million. So it gives you a sense of the size and scale that I think that AngloGold Ashanti wants to go with this. And the production profile for Orogen starts to come into play 2027, 2028. When we hope to see production go in and revenue starting to come from that royalty.
Yeah, I guess for me, like that slide that you put up in your presentation, that they spent $600 million to basically consolidate the land package, not only, speaks to the prospectivity and how they want to control the district, but also how keen they are to get this thing into production quickly.
Yes.
Which comes from our site visit.
That's right.
Back in May last year. For our viewers, they put out usually they put out a maiden resource of 3.4 million ounces.
That's right.
But the technical report that was filed in the States was the most detailed inferred resource that I had seen, because they had a mine plan, they had production numbers, and so which is metallurgy, which is unique for anybody doing a maiden resource, but even more unique for a company like AngloGold, which doesn't usually put that sort of stuff out.
That's right. So obviously it was a detailed report. Next month, they're coming out with the next step of studies, and that for Silicon Central, as we're calling it now, is a pre-feasibility study. So it'll have obviously more economic rigor.
So from an inferred resource to a PFS.
Yeah, in 1 year.
1 year.
Yeah, so when we were there, you recall they had 9 drill rigs turning on site.
Right.
So there's a lot of activity. And then with respect to Merlin, it's going to get it to the stage where they were at a year ago with Central Silicon. So a conceptual study on Merlin, and we have pretty big expectations for Merlin. So we're looking forward to the end of February.
Okay, and so this is embedded potentially in the valuation of Orogen, or do you think it's all there?
Oh no, I think there's a lot to come. I think with the lack of information. Investors have obviously without having complete knowledge, it's always harder to make an investment to these things. I think that as information comes, there'll start to be some key. It's a key catalyst for Orogen, and we'll start to see, I think, value start to creep in, because clearly today the value from Silicon is not being registered in our share price.
Okay, so ignoring these two big cornerstones of your valuation, even if they're not fully valued, we have all these other properties coming up, and you've generated new joint ventures or earnings, let's say, because now your business model is to clip the royalty sooner rather than later.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, the prospect generation model, we've adjusted it to reflect 100% ownership for the incoming partner, and I think partners by and large like that. It's all for cash payments, share payments. The most important thing for us is to clip that royalty, and so the time horizon for our deals has shrunk considerably as well. But I think because of that structural change, it's increased the amount of option and earn-in agreements that we have. So today we're sitting at 15 option and earn-in agreements, 2 alliances, so 17 in total. What that will mean for us in 2023 is we have 8 partner-funded drilling programs. So when you think about it, it's like a drilling program every
For 2023.
2023.
Yeah.
So in terms of dollar values, it's a bit harder to gauge, but we know that with respect to some of our senior partners, Nevada Gold Mines, Barrick, Yamana, BHP, they're multi-million-dollar programs. So there's going to be a lot of money, a lot of activity being done on our projects. And so what we hope that will mean is that it will transpire into a high degree of news flow for us over the course of the next year.
Well, what's interesting about some of that, the project, the royalties with Nevada Gold Mines, which is Barrick essentially.
Yes.
But some of your projects are essentially just Barrick and not Nevada Gold Mines, which is a joint venture with Newmont, is close to their operation. So you need less to make that work.
Exactly.
Which is Maggie Creek.
That's right. The Maggie Creek sits right on the edge, like literally right on the edge of the gold quarry mine, which Nevada Gold Mines operates. We have an option agreement with them where they can earn 100% interest in Maggie Creek. There's some significant cash payments associated with that. But again, the key thing is that we have a 2% non-buyable NSR on that project. And it, as you said, infrastructure is key. It's not a difficult thing for them just to start mining that area because the mill and everything else is already there.
Yeah. So if you look at, where we're talking about Silicon is in the western part of the state of Nevada, and it's a belt
Lane.
called the Walker Lane Belt. And so for looking for more of these potential Silicon low sulfidation epithermal sort of deposits, that's prevalent in that area, and that was a blind discovery by Anglo Gold, so kudos to them. You've created an alliance with Altius, one of your major shareholders, to look for more of these, and now you're generating some of those deals coming out of that.
Yeah, exactly. So we started the alliance with Altius last year. It's a $300,000 alliance.
Which is funded by them.
Fully funded by them, that's correct. We provide the expertise, the data analysis, and we jointly create the project. Then we go and sell it together. And so the first product that we created was called Cuprite. That was midway through last year. We just announced a project sale with the Strike Point Gold people. And so we've clipped a 3% NSR off the top of that. We've each received some share payments, which has almost gone to paying off the original investment by Altius. So really, you're creating royalty assets on almost a net zero basis. So and so we've announced a new project called CELTS, done in the same manner as Cuprite, and we've renewed that alliance with Altius for 2023.
Right, and then also like a different model would be your Ball Creek.
Ball Creek project,
which is the porphyry center in British Columbia that you've held previously with Evrim.
Yep.
What's the plan for that one? Because that's a significant
so
potential deposit.
Yes, so it's 520 square kilometers, a huge land package. And over the course of 2022, we made the attempt to spin it out into its own vehicle. It wasn't an easy time to be raising money and starting up a new company like that. So we've held back. I think the challenge for a group to come in on the project of that size is just the sheer cost of maintaining a project in that manner. And so we've decided to split it into 2 projects, and we're currently looking at an opportunity to have those both sides of that project vended into option or earn-in agreements or project sales if that's the way that the negotiations go. But that will give us the ability to, again, clip additional royalties and get the project, both sides of the project, where there's multiple porphyry targets on that project, and there's epithermal gold targets, and it needs more than one operator to spend the time exploring that ground.
So, and just because your cost of capital, as you were saying during the presentation, is actually higher than other people's, so the royalty generation business through exploration is much more important to you.
That's right. Yeah, it absolutely is, and it's I think it becomes Obviously, it's a probability game. The more deals you have under option, the more greater your odds of making a success. And so, a good example of that is Headwater Gold and the Spring Peak project. And so we optioned that project to them in 2021. They drilled a pretty neat hole towards the end of that year. I think it was 38 meters of a gram. They followed that up by bringing in Newcrest Mining as a partner, and I think the minimum spend on it is $5 million over 3 years. But to earn the 51%, they have to take it to a pre-feasibility within a 3-year period. So it's a pretty good deal for the Headwater guys.
But also for you, because now the financing risk off that junior is gone, so you know you're going to get
exactly. It's a win for us as well, and so we have the ability to own up to a 1% NSR on that project. They followed up that deal with a fantastic drill hole they announced a couple of weeks ago. I think it was 34 meters of 2.7 grams per ton gold, and it's in the same area that they drilled their discovery hole last year. So they're expanding on what they know. So we're very excited. I believe they have a very large drilling program planned for the summer. So it's again that factors into sort of becoming the potential of a third pillar, a third key royalty within our portfolio.
Okay, just to summarize, because I think we've gone over our time limit, but I think this is very interesting. But so what would you say, like, just for the investor or the people that are looking at, what should they expect in 2023?
So, catalysts, end of February, we've got some big news coming on the Silicon project that'll be brought to us by AngloGold Ashanti. So PFS on Central Silicon, conceptual study on Merlin, reserve or resource update on Ermitano in March by First Majestic, the 8 partner-funded drilling programs. Top of that, we're generating our own projects on our own nickel, both in British Columbia and Mexico, and so we're trying to add to the pipeline to create new exploration opportunities for our partners. So it's going to be a very busy year for us.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks
Paddy Nicol, CEO of Orogen Royalties, and that's me, Joe Mazumdar, Exploration Insights at the 2023 January edition of the Metals Investment Forum in Vancouver. Thank you very much.